What's up, you guys? How y'all doing? What's up? This is your boy Sakari. I'm here and we're back. I thought I was gonna be able to have the weekend off and not record, but some new videos came out regarding the Diddy trial. So I'm gonna be doing a reaction to. This is basically gonna be like a three-in-one. It's gonna be a reaction to the voicemail that was released. There is the mistrial demand, the second mistrial demand, and then it's another one. I think it's the blackmail that Diddy was trying to do. I guess regarding the Jane Doe, her tapes. Can't say the word, but you know her tapes. He was threatening to expose her tapes. So we're gonna be doing a reaction to those videos and sit too. Sit. Yo, like I literally had to do another take. I literally messed up the ending part of that video. But okay, what we're gonna go ahead and do is just do a natural reaction. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you at the end.
To do the freak offs because of this love contract that he sent to victim number 2, who is his ex-girlfriend that's going by the pseudonym Jade, has just been released to the media. This voicemail is one piece of evidence that the feds are wanting to try to use to prove the coercion of victim number 2. In victim 2's testimony today, she said she had a contract with Diddy and that Diddy was paying her rent and she felt obligated to do the freak offs because of this love contract that Diddy made up with her. In Jane's testimony, she described that this love contract between her and Diddy was $10,000 a month, and that was specifically for her rent. She also said when she didn't want to do these freak offs that Diddy would hold this over her head and say that he was going to take that away from her if she didn't want to participate. During Jane's testimony today, they brought up that Diddy left a voicemail on Jane's phone, and he referred to these freak offs in her eyes as a job. Now, they have released the voicemail that Diddy left her to the public.
Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to just give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all. At all. So I don't know, you think you silent treating me, and you think I'm going to be, nah. You'll have a rude awakening. You'll just have silence. And ain't nobody threatening you, and I ain't trying to go back and forth with no woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I ain't got no time for no games. Where my life is at right now, I don't have no time for no games, baby girl. Me and you can be mad, I can have a spat, we can have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really, that's all it is. Cause you got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice. So either you go in the direction of like moving on and like that, or you like just like have me just keep moving. Ain't no threat. I'm just being clear. I can't do this with you every time you get us.
This voicemail, they did play in court today for everybody to hear, and it's very clear that the feds are trying to lay out that Diddy coerced victim 2. Similar to what we saw with Cassie Ventura, because they said Diddy held Cassie's career over her head. What Diddy's being charged with is trafficking, force, fraud, or coercion. So if any of them elements could be proven, then Diddy could technically be found guilty of the trafficking charge. The main thing that's different with Cassie Ventura's charge against Diddy is that Cassie can technically kind of meet coercion and violence because she had both. And so far we haven't heard about violence in Jane's testimony, and we don't know if this is something that happened in their relationship. So that is just something that we'll have to see. But either way, even if there wasn't violence in the relationship, Diddy could still be possibly found guilty of because it's trafficking, force, fraud, or coercion. As far as the prostitution charges for Diddy with both Jane and Cassie Ventura, I'm pretty sure that those 2 charges alone are sealed for Diddy. There's really no arguing about flying these workers across state lines and paying them money for physical relations. We'll have to see how far this actually goes, but it's crazy to hear Diddy's voicemail in real time. Y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. Diddy victim 2, an ex-girlfriend who's going by the pseudonym Jane, is about to bring up the violence and the blackmail of these freak-offs. And the feds are literally just building this up, and we are about to hear all of this on Monday. And her story is actually very similar to Cassie Ventura's. I figured out all of this by going back to the opening statements the feds gave against Diddy in the trial. So I'm about to break it all down. Let's get into it. These are the opening statements that were given by the government in Diddy's trial, and they said, just like Cassie, Diddy eventually took steps to control Jane financially. They claim that Diddy wanted Jane to be available to meet with him for these freak-offs at a moment's notice, and he discouraged her from working, which is what we heard her testify to, that Diddy did not want her working on OF. Jane's income plummeted, and she testified that this happened because she was spending so much time doing the freak-offs, and she was a content creator, so she started to lose her income. And they said Diddy gave Jane money and later started paying the rent for her house that she lived in with her child. And when Jane resisted the freak-offs and told him over and over that she wanted to stop, he had power to coerce her back into the hotel rooms. Mind you, this was the love contract that she talked about, which I do find very eerie and similar because this is something that we saw Gina Hunt in with a contract with Diddy for Combs Enterprise. Remember, victim number 3 has been confirmed as Gina Hunt, but we still don't know if she's actually going to show up to testify against Diddy. Right before Gina came out on Tasha K, she was in a contract with Diddy for Combs Enterprise, and it said that she was working as a marketing coordinator, even though she never worked for Diddy. What's even worse, Diddy is cheap because he was offering her a base salary of $1,923 per pay period.
Whoa. So she only getting paid $1,900 a month or every 2 weeks? You gotta go on somebody's job for that. He cheap.
On a bi-weekly basis. We know she also confirmed that Diddy paid her housing. Now we're about to get into the bigger issue of the coercion with the blackmailing of freak-off tapes, just like Cassie Ventura said. Government says, just like he did with Cassie, the defendant threatened Jane with videos that he recorded of her engaging in acts with escorts. Y'all know me, I also stay in the court docs during this whole trial, and the government dropped information that they have evidence of this blackmail of Jane's freak-off videos. Government just said 2 weeks ago that they expect to offer text messages that Jane sent to the defendant's chief of staff, Christina Korm, on December 28th of 2023. The defendant just threatened me about my tapes that he has of me on 2 phones. He said that he would expose me and send them to another person. That's not even all of the text messages. They said that Jane went on to send another text message to Christina Korm, but that information in that text is redacted. Mind you, the government just confirmed Christina Korm as Diddy's co-conspirator. This is a part of the official transcripts, and they released this information on Friday, saying that Cassie Ventura was expressing her fear of Mr. Combs to Christina Korm, who is an agent and a co-conspirator of Mr. Combs. Now we're going to get into the violence part. So they say that not even a year ago today, Jane had the worst day of her life. The defendant came to Jane's house for an at-home date night. She and the defendant argued about another woman that the defendant had been seeing. Jane hit Diddy and threw things at him, and then Diddy became enraged. So Jane tried to get away from him and hide. She ran into her bedroom and locked the door. He kicked it open. She ran into the bathroom and locked the door. He kicked it open. She ran to her closet and locked the door. He kicked it open. She ran to the guest bedroom and locked the door, and he kicked it open. She tried to run out the front door, but he grabbed her in a chokehold, lifted her off the ground by her neck, and kicked her to the ground. Later that night, they fought again, and Diddy viciously attacked Jane. He punched her in the face, kicked her while she was curled up in a ball on the ground, dragged her by her hair and her arm, and slapped Jane's face so hard that she fell over. When all of this was over, Diddy still did not let Jane be. Instead, he told Jane, "You're not going to F up my night." Diddy instructed her to put on an outfit and call up an escort for a freak-off. He made Jane cover her black eye and bruising and take an E-pill and perform for him with that escort. So the feds are literally building her her story.
Well, hold. So he's a gorilla pimp. Wow. Let's go.
Just like they did when they put Cassie Ventura on that stand. They are actually very, very similar. Now, I assume that Jane didn't go through as much physical violence because she wasn't with Diddy for 10 years like Cassie was. But it is confirmed that Diddy was in fact violent with Jane. And we are about to hear all of this on Monday. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. Diddy has just filed for a mistrial. Now, Diddy is trying to get a mistrial over a couple of different things, and he is citing misconduct, so let's not waste any time and let's get into it. Diddy's lawyers have just filed a motion to the judge asking for a mistrial, saying that the prosecutors have used misconduct. This motion alleges that the government has presented testimony that it knew or should have known was materially false relating to the allegation that Mr. Combs dangled Brianna Bongolan from a balcony of Cassie Ventura's apartment in September of 2016. Accordingly, to avoid an unfair conviction in this case, the court should grant a mistrial. The government contends that the alleged balcony incident is relevant because it shows Mr. Combs' violence directed not only to Cassie Ventura, but to other people around Cassie Ventura. And they use a statement that the government says she is aware of this violence. Because of her awareness, it goes to coercion. Diddy's team then goes on to say that the government has used it to depict Mr. Combs in an extremely negative light as an angry and dangerous man who terrified Cassie Ventura and her friends. I ain't gonna lie, just saying that is crazy. Because Diddy, did you forget that there's a video of you doing that in real time? And they go on to allege that the prosecutors have entered evidence about the allegations of Cassie Ventura and Brianna Bongolan that is false in key aspects. Then they doubled down using the false testimony to obtain a ruling admitting hearsay evidence about it as well, all to present a false narrative to the jury. The government started by entering testimony from Cassie Ventura about the allegation that cannot be true. Cassie Ventura said that she saw Mr. Combs holding Brianna Bongolan over the balcony railings. Yet the prosecutors knew that she had not actually seen what she described because they had in their possession a text conversation demonstrating that Cassie Ventura was told about the alleged incident by another unidentified person. And they quote this text that says, "Hey, I just found out some crazy." And they are talking about the text message that Cassie Ventura sent Christina Quorum a few days later. Nevertheless, they allowed Cassie Ventura to continue to insist on cross that she had witnessed this incident. Question, and you testified that you saw him throw her onto the patio furniture, right? Yeah. He brought her back over the balcony and he threw her down. She persisted in this story even after she was confronted by the text messages. Isn't it true that you learned about this incident on the balcony after the fact? I saw what I saw, so I don't know. Has the government, in your preparation for your testimony in this case, gone over this message with you? Not this one. No. Government has left the jury with a false impression that Cassie Ventura saw Mr. Combs dangle her friend over the balcony, that this made her fearful of him, when in fact, if there was any incident, Ventura merely heard about it afterwards. The government doubled down by presenting testimony from Brianna Bongolan intended to corroborate Cassie Ventura's false testimony. Bongolan claimed that Combs lifted her up and held her feet on the balcony railing. This is what caused the injuries to the back of her leg, back, and neck pain. They also allege in this footnote that Cassie Ventura and Brianna Bongolan have been in frequent contact. As to key points, they have had many opportunities to collaborate on their stories. And in fact, Bongolan admitted to the two friends discussing the incident before and after Cassie Ventura filed her lawsuit. Diddy's team then goes on to say that the government introduced photographs of the injuries that Miss Bongolan supposedly sustained at the hands of Mr. Combs, including a photo depicting the leg injury taken on September 26 of 2016 at 9:45 a.m. Brianna Bongolan testified that she took the photographs of her leg injury around the time or the same day as the incident that she had got the injury, being thrown on the balcony furniture. On cross, she confirmed that the balcony incident happened earlier in the morning. The photo of the leg bruise was taken later that day. The government then introduced photographs of the injuries supposedly sustained at the hands of Mr. Combs during the incident. Government knew or should have known that Miss Von Golan could have not been possibly injured by Mr. Combs on a Los Angeles balcony in the early morning hours of September 26th, or even the day before that. Government has long known that Mr. Combs was on the East Coast in late September, specifically at around the time of this alleged incident. Government knew that he had stayed at the Trump Hotel in New York between September 24th and September 29th in 2016. In fact, the government had it marked as an exhibit in the records of this hotel stay, which they are now using as evidence. And they have other evidence in their possession from some of the time showing Mr. Combs' travel, scheduling, and proving that he was on the East Coast when it told the jury that he dangled Miss Von Golan over a balcony in front of Cassie Ventura. Bears to emphasize the use of the testimony regarding the balcony incident, and it's just one example of misconduct during this trial. The defense previously moved for a mistrial based on the improper line of questioning related to the 2012 destruction of fingerprints provided by Kid Cudi to the LAPD. As the court will recall, the defense argued that the government eliciting this testimony was to create an unfounded and highly prejudicial interference that Mr. Combs somehow corruptly arranged for the destruction of the fingerprints. They're talking about how the judge ended up denying that, but they say, however, it has become apparent shortly after destruction of fingerprints provided by Kid Cudi to the LAPD. As the court will recall, the defense argued that the government eliciting this testimony was to create an unfounded and highly prejudicial interference that Mr. Combs somehow corruptly arranged for the destruction of the fingerprints. They're talking about how the judge ended up denying that, but they say, however, it has become apparent shortly after, during the questioning of Mia, the very next day, the fact that the government's motive all along has been to suggest that Mr. Combs had corrupt influence over the LA authorities after they tried to create the impression that he was responsible for the destruction of fingerprints. The government elicited testimony from Mia about 2 incidents which the LAPD did not issue her a ticket for speeding after she was pulled over because the officers found out that she worked for Mr. Combs. These 2 incidents in isolation seem like binge examples of police giving lenient treatment to popular famous people. Coupled with the sinister implications of the fingerprint destructions, however, they create a strong implication that the reason Mia, and I'm sure that the government will argue, didn't go to the police was because Mr. Combs was corrupt and had influence over the police, and the LAPD in particular. And now they are asking for a mistrial because of all of this stuff. As of right now, we do not know if the judge will grant a mistrial. Y'all know I will keep you updated, but I'm praying that he does not because I cannot go through this all over again. Y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
All right, here's my conclusion. For the voicemail, I mean, it's not really surprising. If you kind of know Diddy, that's kind of what I would expect him to say. So, I'm not surprised on that one. We could talk about the blackmail and the violence. Now, that part I was kind of shocked and sad to see that Jane Doe went through that same violence too. Because I didn't want to believe that would have happened. And then the mistrial, I hope he don't get a mistrial. I don't think he's going to get a mistrial either. But that concludes pretty much this video. Hopefully if they don't drop nothing, I'll be back on Monday. Till then, have a good weekend.